Okay, so I just sent everyone whose emails were in there the PDF that I'll be using. I'm going to have it on the screen so you guys can follow along while watching, or you can put your email address in there in the chat section and I'll send that over to you. I put the link for the Google Drive at the top of the chat. It didn't work for Pat, but Kathy got it to work. But if it doesn't work for you guys, just let me know and I'll put you in the email for the PowerPoint. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. So let me do that really quick. Okay. All right. So let me get this in the beginning here. Sorry, guys. All right. So I'm Melissa. Hold on, I can't really see. Okay. Perfect. Okay, guys. Just give me a second. Bear with me. We're new to Zoom here. So, all right. So I'll get started. So I wanted to talk today, and I can talk for hours and hours and hours about crystals, but I just wanted to kind of briefly go over what crystals are, what crystal healing is, how I work with them in my practice, how I got started with them. And I just wanted to touch a little bit on crystal gridding. And I want to say I don't do it a whole lot, and I don't even know why I incorporated it in this class, but as I was doing my research on it, it's really interesting, combining the energies to make grids, the energies of the crystals and the shapes. So we'll get into that. I have that in there. And I put in our PowerPoint here just a simple grid that I found, and I'll let you guys know the book I'm using too. But you can, I gave it the PDF to make it shareable, excuse me, so you guys can print the picture if you wanted. It's a really simple one, so you can just draw it too. So we'll get into that. So thanks for coming on today, guys. I'm really excited about this class. So let's go ahead and get started. So what are crystals? And I put a little bit of information here in it. So crystals, I liked the way they put this. I found this one. I wanted to get a little bit sciencey in it, but also I wanted to keep it kind of understandable. So crystals form in nature when liquids cool and start to harden. The molecules gather together and grow in a uniform and repeating pattern that forms the crystal. In nature, crystals can form when liquid rock cools. So they're part of Earth. They grow from Earth, and that's really where their power is. We are all connected in the realm of Earth here. So utilizing crystals is comparable to me. It's like using herbs or plants or essential oils. You know, they all have different benefits. All the crystals, all the herbs, all the plants, they all carry different energies to them. And the way that they make you feel, the energy that they're infusing in your body helps to align you. It aligns your physical body because it's a physical touch thing. It aligns your mental body because of where it pulls your awareness in your body, and it aligns your spiritual body because you're receiving messages from the earth. And I want to talk a little bit about all the different shapes, sizes, the different kinds of stones you can work with. So I have a couple crystals here, and I'm going to show them to you guys and talk about them. So you can get them raw. This is a form of a raw crystal. This is citrine, and I want to take a little time to talk about each crystal too, and kind of benefits that I have felt with them. So this is citrine. This is a raw citrine. Raw just means it's like the way that they're mined. So they just mine it. They don't shape them. It's like as is kind of. There is tumbled stones. This is an opalite. Let me show you. Oops, sorry guys. This is an opalite. This is tumbled. It just means that it was picked, it was mined from the earth, and then they shaped it using machinery. This is labradorite, and if anybody, you all kind of know here, labradorite is my favorite crystal. This one is shaped. I do have raw versions of it too, which are really cool. And then there's pyramids. And these are all, it's all preference with these. So this is angelite. This is a pyramid. And then they have different shapes of crystals too. Like this is an angel. It's shaped in the form of an angel. There's points, crystal points, and these ones are really cool too. The points are nice for, you can use these like acupuncture points, using them as points in the body, you know, like pushing it on the different points. That helps a lot. So I want to talk a little bit about the crystals too. So the crystals that I just showed are citrine. Citrine is, I always imagine it as willpower. I associate it with the solar plexus chakra, and the chakras in the body are the energy centers. They align in different parts, and that's a whole nother class. But the citrine is great for, it brings joy. So you can work with citrine if you're feeling like you need a boost. You don't think you can do something, maybe you're just kind of needing a little confidence, or you're just kind of feeling low. I imagine citrine holding the energy of the sun. So cloudy days like today, great to have a citrine around, really uplifts you. Labradorite, the one I just showed you guys, my favorite crystal, this one is a perception stone. So even looking at it here, I can kind of show you. Labradorite, looking at it head on, it looks just like a greenish, I know there's a blue tint in it, that's my camera, but it just looks kind of greenish, brownish. But when you move it in the light, it kind of reveals these beautiful translucent, I can't even see it, these translucent shimmers to it. I have a better one too. This one, it's not better, but it's just, you can see it better. Oh, hold on one second, let me admit. Okay. So this is the labradorite, you see it, and it's a stone of magic. So it tells you life can look ordinary, but if you change the way that you're looking at it, excuse me, you'll see that there are flicks of magic. There are shimmers of beauty everywhere if you're just looking for it. Another one I was talking about was angelite. Angelite is such a beautiful crystal. It's got a really soft energy to it. Angelite connects us to the higher realms, the angelic realms. It allows for us to open ourselves up to receive the guidance from angels, guides, loved ones, just unconditional love energy. I do want to talk about rose quartz. This is a beautiful crystal. Rose quartz is a stone of unconditional love. You can work with this one anytime, any day. You can't ever have too much. These are all kind of, I'm just kind of running through the basic crystals to work with. I know there's a million of them. There's so many. I even have crystals that I don't know what they are. I forgot the names of them. So there's a million. These are just kind of some basic ones I like to start with when introducing crystals to people. Clear quartz is a beautiful one. I can't even see this guy. So this one's really cool. So clear quartz, they consider the master healer. It can take on any attribute you need it to. So if you don't know what crystal you need, I definitely recommend working with clear quartz, because it's like, if you don't know it, I got you. That's kind of what I feel like it says when you're working with it. And a cool thing about clear quartz is you can hold intention in it. So when we talk about gridding, Oops, sorry guys, I didn't see the chat. When we talk about gridding, they use clear quartz a lot. So that's a cool one to work with. Okay. Oh, quartz, yes, Rita, you love quartz. All right. So let's move on in our slideshow here. Where did I go next? Okay, so this is one of my favorite parts about working with crystals. How do I know what crystals to pick? This is my favorite part because you just can't go wrong with it. When I first started with crystals, I'll just tell you guys a little story. I remember being young. My mom would buy us the crystal. They were like the rock kits, and we'd play with those as kids. And I always liked them. We always were bringing in outside rocks, painting rocks. So that was always really fun for me, and I never really thought about it until I got older and into this world. When I started at natural healing centers, I kind of just started learning them because I had to know them. If people were coming in asking about which crystals they should pick, I would usually just kind of Google. I'd say, what's on your mind? What are you feeling? What are you looking for? And they'd say, oh, whatever it was, I need something to help me with this new opportunity. What crystal would be good for that? So I would Google crystals for new opportunities. And then I would just kind of recommend from there. And as time went on, I started to really get familiar with them. And and you guys have probably all heard me tell this story, but I just like the story. When I was first starting, the world is overwhelming. The world of crystals is overwhelming. I mean, there's a million crystals, and there's pages and pages of information on the internet about what each crystal means and what they're good for. And then there's different perspectives. Some people might say that aventurine is the best for luck, but some people might say pyrite is even better. So it was like, well, how do I know which crystal? If there's three crystals for one attribute, how do I know which one to pick? Well, it's really actually very simple. Whatever ones you are attracted to, that's where I would go first. So the first way to pick them is to trust yourself. Veronica and I, this is the story I wanted to tell. Veronica and I would play with them when I first started. We would just pick maybe 3 or 4, and we wouldn't show each other what the crystals were. We would just pick them and be like, okay, what do you feel with this? And when we first started doing that, I was just like, I don't know. So we would just hold them in our hands, close our eyes, take a breath, and just feel where in our body our attention is going to. So I'm holding right now blue kyanite, and this is a beautiful piece. I got this from Rita. Rita's on here. She does beautiful, beautiful jewelry, handcrafted, made with love always. So I'm holding a blue kyanite right now, and blue kyanite, I always imagine, is the crystal of transmutation. So what that means to me is that it takes any energy that doesn't align with the energy of my true self, by my true self, I mean my higher self energy, my soul energy, my unconditional love and light that is within all of us. So the blue kyanite essentially tunes me back to that vibration by clearing out any energy that doesn't align with my unconditional self energy, my unconditional love, higher self energy. And this one is a great one to work with. It aligns all of the chakras in the body. You can actually clear other crystals with this crystal too, and I'm going to get into that. I have it in the couple slides down, and we'll talk more about that. So back to the story, we would hold them and say, okay, this bundle made me feel something in my heart, and then it went back down to my feet, and then back to my third eye, right between my eyebrows. And then we'd look at them, and it was, crystals. Maybe there was aventurine, kyanite, and rose quartz and garnet. Those are all crystals that kind of coordinate with these parts of the body. But that's how you can learn them, because there's so much information on the internet. I think if you can't find something that resonates with you, then it just gets lost. The information just gets lost. So the way I would do it is I feel them first. I feel where in my body I'm feeling them by just tuning in. You just take a couple breaths, let your attention go wherever in your body it needs to. And from there, then I would be like, oh, wow, okay, well, I felt this. And then I would Google each crystal and their meaning, and I would find, oh, wow, it either lined up, or maybe I didn't feel that, but I felt something else. And, I found that on a page too. So play with the crystals first, get an idea of what they feel like, and then do the research. And you'll find that worked for me. And if you guys like to do all the research first, definitely, I just like the idea of being able to work from your own life experience, your own individual story, to apply the knowledge and meanings of the crystals. So from there, I put on the slide, start with one and then add in more. I definitely think that's a great idea. Get familiar with the crystals individually, and then you can start kind of playing with them and putting in more, and you'll kind of be able to focus where the energy is going. If you've got 5 or 6 of them, you might not be able to tell which one is making your heart flutter, or which one is pulling at your feet, telling you to ground. If there's too many like hands in the pot, you won't know. I mean, not that you won't know, but it's a lot of information at once. So to slow the information down, the information coming in from the crystals and in your body, I recommend working with one crystal first. It doesn't have to be for a whole long period of time. You can take it for a couple hours or a couple minutes and pick up another one. But if you're just starting out, I think playing with them individually, you'll learn so much about not only the crystals, but yourself too. And then another way you can pick them is, and I touched this a little bit earlier, is in line with the chakras. So the chakras are the energy centers of the body. There are generally 7, there's more than 7, but the standard 7 are probably the best place to start, because there's so many. So the chakras, and I'll just go through them quickly. At the top of the crown is your crown chakra. This is, in my understanding, crown is spirit, it's higher self. And then there's third eye, it's right between the eyebrows. Third eye is our perceptions, how we see the world. Throat is right here, it's at your throat. Throat is our expression, our truth, trust. And then there's heart, that's in the middle of your chest. Heart chakra is our feel center. In my understanding, I believe that all the chakras meet in the heart. To me, our heart energy is how we understand the world. From there is our solar plexus. Solar plexus is it's right in our navel, like above our navel, a couple inches above our navel. So right in that point where at the end of the ribs almost. That's our solar plexus. Solar plexus is our willpower, how we go forward in the world. And then from there we go to sacral chakra. Sacral is that point in the belly right underneath the belly button. Sacral chakra to me is relationships, our roles in our roles in our worlds, It's our creative center. And then there's root. Root is at the base of the spine. Root chakra is our home, our security. It's our foundation. It's where our belief systems are created, where we go forward, creating the patterns in our lives. So with root chakra, there's a lot of grounding energy. And I do want to touch on grounding, actually. Grounding to me means taking a minute, kind of stepping back, and then stepping back into. So by stepping back, I mean incorporating observance, seeing where you are in your life, in your mind, and then bringing it back into your physical reality. Grounding to me means seeing the whole picture. You understand? Seeing your part in the whole picture. So grounding just means being present. It means being in the moment, being aware, understanding. A great crystal for that is smoky quartz, and this is a newer piece for me, and I got it at the shop when I was there the other day, and I just love it. It's so pretty. So smoky quartz is, smoky quartz is a great grounding crystal, and I love, Veronica said before, smoky quartz is like a friend in need if you need it. And I just love that. I love that smoky quartz is that type of energy. It says, we can do this together. And I just think it's a great grounding crystal too. And I know, and they just are so fascinating, these shapes in here and all these crystals. Okay, so let's move on with the slideshow. So how do I work with crystals? The way I work with them, and of course it's open to interpretation however you want to work with them, that's how you can work with them. You can carry them on you. I pretty much always have crystals on me. I'm reaching into my pocket right now. I have a crystal. This is a moonstone. This is a gray moonstone. But I always have them in my pockets. I have them in my coat pockets, my pants pockets. I keep them in bags in my purse. I keep them on my bed. I keep them around my house. I keep them in my car. I have them everywhere, you know. So you can work with them however you want to. I like to keep them on me because I like to have physical reminders. And that's really what I love about the crystals, is that they just remind you of parts of yourself that maybe you forgot. So sometimes if I'm not feeling like I'm understanding something, I will make sure I have a labradorite because I need a different perspective. You know, currently the perspective I'm looking at something with isn't making any sense to me. So I'll grab a labradorite and I just sit with it for a couple minutes, or I don't even have to sit with it sometimes. I just carry it around. I'll be going about my day, but I keep it close to me so that I can just keep it in my hand, or I can keep it in a place that I can see it, so I remember every time I look at it that it's infusing me with another perspective. It's giving me another way of understanding things. So that's my favorite way of working with them. You can meditate with them. I love doing that. Because I always keep them with me, you know, of course I'm going to use them when I'm meditating. But you can meditate with them, just kind of sit with them, see where the energy is going. But with meditating with them, you can put them, you know, sometimes I'll sit on my couch and I just have one on my head. And you can do that. You can put them, you know, in your hands like this, you know, while you're sitting, and just hold them both. You can create altars with them. I know people do that. That's beautiful too. There are countless ways to work with them. I work with them in my practices, in my sessions. I usually bring about maybe anywhere from like 10 to 15 crystals, and I just align them, and then I'll pick different ones throughout sessions, depending on their relevance or what's happening in the session. And I I use them in my energy work as well. So a great crystal I always keep with me whenever doing energy work is selenite. Selenite, I love this piece too. It's a wand. It's called the selenite wand. It's just flat, you know. Selenite is a crystal that clears. It's like the blue kyanite in the way that it takes away anything that doesn't vibrate with your true resonance, your true vibration. And then I have in here that you can use them as a guidance system. So that's how I like to use them. I like to see, maybe if I'm in my head too much about something, I grab a couple crystals and it gives me clarity. I'm like, okay, you know, maybe I'm having doubts, or I can't understand something. I'll grab a citrine, a labradorite, and a rose quartz. And to me, that says, I need a little love, I need a little perspective, and I need a little joy. So sometimes when I'm picking my crystals for the day, I don't even think twice about it. I'm just grabbing whatever is kind of standing out to me in the moment. That's a great way to play with them too. And then later I look at them and I'm like, oh wow, this is where I was this morning, huh? And I look at them and then I kind of get an understanding of where I have to focus my intention, my thought, my energy to go forward in my day. So I like to use them like that. In the beginning, I would put maybe like 20 crystals in like a pouch, and I would just stick my hand in and grab maybe 3. And I would do a reading like that. And that's a lot of fun. You know, I would just do it for myself, because I was just playing with them. But if you have enough, or you can even, you don't even have to have enough. You could just do it with 5 or, 3 or 4 of them and just pick one and see what that crystal is telling you. Through where you are in your body, where you feel it in your body, or what you find in your research about them. So that's a great way to use them too. Okay, so I'm going to run through the benefits here really quick. So each crystals carry with it different properties and benefits. Oops, I lost there we go. So they all have different properties, and I'm thinking about it, they have different personalities, essentially. They're kind of like how we all have our own individuality, so do the crystals. They all kind of have, like, if I have 3 labradorite, or 2 labradorite, I have 3, but I don't have enough hands. So I have 2 labradorite. These pieces are of the same type of crystal, but they vibrate different for me. Some days I need these colors in this labradorite. There's purples and yellows and greens and blues. And some days I want these ones. I don't think I'll be able to show it because of my camera. But in here there's beautiful colors too. I mean, I've seen labradorites with purples in them too, and those are really cool. So just because they're of the same type of crystal, they carry different properties to me. And each crystal individually, each type of crystal, each family of crystal carries with it its own properties. So all of the citrine represent joy and willpower, but maybe to me, this specific one, has a little bit more of a message to it for me. So they all have different personalities, and getting to know them is a lot of fun. Because getting to know them is getting to know yourself. So and I know I said this earlier, that they remind us of parts of ourselves that we forgot about. By that, I think they infuse us with their energy. So if we're attracted to a certain crystal, it's because we think we lack it. So the crystals are there to say, you don't actually lack it. I'll remind you, though. I would love to remind you. And then we essentially accept their energy into the part of us that we thought was lacking. So I'm going to get back to that, the physical touchstone that keeps you present. That's why I love crystals, is because I can have them with me all the time. Anytime I feel, um, anytime I feel like I need to be reminded, I just reach in my pocket. So it's in the way I understand them is that they all kind of have these grounding properties, because while even, with working with a crystal that's of a upper chakra, opalite. Opalite is a crown chakra crystal, even though it's bringing us into this higher level of awareness up here, because it's physical, because I have it in my hand, it's essentially bringing it into my reality right now. So they all have this way of grounding you. They all kind of bring you back to where you are right now, right here, in the moment that you need them. And I talked with Ronnie Rolk the other day about crystals a little bit, and I compared them to the fidget spinners. Do you guys remember those? Or even like a yo-yo. But it's that same idea that it's pulling you from out of what's going on in your head into a physical action. So that's what I like the most about the crystals. And yes, I'm going off of this PowerPoint really quick. So the crystals help you understand yourself at a deeper level, depending on which ones you're working with. And I touched on that earlier, just with, say, sometimes at work even, I just I'll be drawn to a certain crystal over where we keep the crystals, and I don't even question it. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to work with this one today. I just hold it. And then later when I make time again, I go back and I sit with it, and then I do research too. I still do research on them, of course. And I find often, like, oh wow, I really needed that crystal today and I didn't even know it. So they help you to understand yourself there. You don't have to, in the moment when you're picking, you don't have to understand each crystal and what they do. Just go with it. Go with where you're at right now and pick them that way. The great thing about them is that they resonate at that frequency of earth, healing, love, so they won't hurt you. Some of their energy, if you're prone to, if you're a sensitive person and the energy feels overbearing, maybe, I would recommend, because I've heard that sometimes people pick up crystals and it's like too much for them, and that's perfectly fine too. I would just work with a different crystal then. Maybe something softer, like a blue. Blue crystals are very calming. I have in my pocket, this is a blue chalcedony. This one, I love this crystal. These are calming crystals. So if you do end up with a crystal that's got too high of a frequency for you, just ground it back down. You can grab a smoky quartz, do a couple breaths, come back to your center. Maybe it took you too far out, so you want to bring it back down. If nothing else, my first thought with all these crystals, when I saw them, I was like, wow, they're really pretty. I just like to look at them. And even that stimulates an energy just by looking at the crystals. It's like how art, when you look at art, it's so open to interpretation because everybody feels a different way about it. The crystals are the same thing. If you're looking at a crystal and you feel something, it's invoking that part of you. So in the same way that art invokes a feeling, the crystals invoke an energy. They invoke a feeling. They help you get in tune with yourself. And that's my favorite part of them too. I actually really like everything about them. I know I've said I've got like a couple favorite parts here, but okay, so now we're on to clearing the crystals. I get this question a lot. So what is clearing our crystals? What do we even have to do about that? You know, what does it mean? To me, it means we're restoring them back to their natural vibration. So the way crystals work is they are infusing us with their energy, whatever energy we're working with. They're infusing us with that by taking out anything that doesn't resonate with that. And often they'll absorb it. So oftentimes the crystals absorb the energy of us that doesn't match our natural vibration. So we want to clear those crystals when we're working with them, or when we're working with them with other people, just so that our energy stays in this relationship of like flux, you know, this ebb and flow. So I'm taking out from me anything that doesn't resonate. It's being put into here, and then I'm clearing it, and then it's coming back into me as that full restored vibration. So you guys have any questions? I'm sorry, I haven't been looking at the chat. Oh, here we go, sorry. I'm gonna stop for a second and just see. Oh, okay. How are we doing there, guys? Do you have any questions so far? I'm trying to keep my eye on the chat too. I'm sorry if I... All right. Okay. So, crystals, yep. Okay, so I was there. Let me get back on track here, guys, sorry. So when we clear our crystals, we are helping them help us. So by that I mean that, thank you, Angelica. By that I mean we're helping them do their job the best they can when we clear them. So if we can remember to clear our crystals, then they can operate at their full vibration. And it's not like you're gonna, they're still gonna work even if you don't clear them. I mean, personally, I've worked with them and I forgot for a couple days to clear them, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta do that really quick. But I didn't, it's not that they didn't still work for me. It's just that they needed a little bit of like a re-up, you know, in the same way that they help us that way. We gotta help them so that we can have this relationship of proper give and take. Okay, so here's some simple ways to clear the crystals. You can, I put in there clearing crystals, I don't know why. You can put them in the moonlight. You can put them in the sunlight. You can put them in water. I've heard of digging them in earth. So with water, you don't want to put selenite in water because it's a salt, so it'll dissolve. So with the selenite, you don't even have to worry about clearing it because it doesn't retain any negative energy. Selenite doesn't retain any negative energy. It immediately clears it. I had this dream one time. I often dream in crystals, by the way. Ever since I incorporated them in my everyday work, I see them in my dreams all the time. I think in crystals. Sometimes people will be telling me something and I'm like, oh, you need a clear quartz. And they're like, why? I'm like, I don't know, whatever you're saying, it brought me there. So the more you work with them, you can kind of play with them like that too. And that's a lot of fun. You kind of learn to listen a little deeper to the energy, really. So with selenite, oh yeah, I'm gonna tell you my dream. So it was a while ago. The dream was about this denser energy coming in, and it was it was like overtaking my brother. My mom was there. I was there, and we were like, oh no, this negative energy, it's overtaken my brother. And I remember in the dream, it was like slow motion, and he let it go, and it came to me in the dream, and this energy like overtook me. I was like moving in slow motion, and in the dream I reached out and I grabbed, it was this crystal actually, I grabbed my selenite wand, and I just started doing infinity signs with it. And it was like the hardest thing I had ever done in my dream, because it was like this much movement took so much effort, but I reached and I found it and I grabbed it and I started doing the infinity sign. And in my dream, the energy cleared. The denser energy was absorbed into my selenite. And my selenite, when I was doing the infinity signs, I saw like this crazy like blue purple color, and in the dream I could see the figure 8 like sparking from my movement with the selenite. And then the energy was gone, the crystal broke, which I thought was kind of funny, and it cleared and everything was fine in the dream after that. And I think I even woke up not long after. But I thought, what a beautiful representation of selenite. That's what it does. Anytime you have negative, dense energy, if you grab a selenite and you allow it to take it, it's cleared. But it's our job then, it would be great if we could have selenite bubbles just always around us. But life happens, and life is always going to happen. So the selenite can take away, and it can take away for as long as you need it. But from my understanding, if we can be, let me think of how to say this. We can use the crystals every day for the rest of our lives. But essentially what they're telling us is you don't need us. We remind you, but that doesn't mean that you need us. There was this time when I first got this Angelite pyramid, I loved it. I didn't want to go anywhere without it. And I left it at work one night. And what a great place for it to be, at natural healing centers. I was like, it's okay there. But I was really upset at first. I was like, oh man, it was the weekend too, and it was a Saturday, so I wasn't gonna be back until Monday. And I was like, oh man, I have to go all weekend without my Angelite. And I remember thinking, you don't need it anymore. You have worked with it, you've gotten out of it what you needed, but now, because I left it, it told me, you don't need me. You are already connected, you already have everything you need within you. And that's how it reminded me. It wasn't actually that, I didn't even need the crystal. It just reminded me that I didn't have to worry about it that way. And then even with rose quartz, there was my friend and I went on vacation, and I had a little pocket knife. It was just like a Swiss Army knife. And I had my Swiss Army knife and my rose quartz. I had a palm stone, and I still miss it. I had a rose quartz palm stone, and I slept with both of them. I said, which is essentially a contradiction, because I was saying unconditional love and fear. So I ended up leaving both the crystal and the knife in the hotel. I forgot them. And I thought that was so funny, because it was telling me you can't have, having both of these energies is contradictory. What do you want? Do you want to come from a place of love and be protected that way, protected in unconditional love, or do you want to be protected in fear? So I ended up leaving both of them. And ultimately I chose to get another rose quartz, but not another knife. I was like, okay, I get it. To be protected, all I need is love. In every situation, if we could infuse more love, we'll find that it was there all along. So let me get back. As I digress, I want to get into these other ways to clear. So You can, like I said, you can run them underwater, not the selenite. The selenite will dissolve. You can bury them in earth, I've heard. I have done that actually. I've just put them outside though, not to necessarily clear them. And then you can use your intention. So this is usually what I do. If I don't have my selenite and it's not a full moon, or I don't feel like putting them out in the sunlight, I'll just use intention. It's simple, really. You hold the crystal you're intending to clear, and you just say, I allow any energy that has been acquired in this crystal to be cleared, transmuted into its natural state of pure, loving vibration. You can say that. You can just say, it's my intention to clear this crystal. Anything that was absorbed is now transmuted and cleared. You can say whatever you want. You can have mantras. You can hold it and just say Om. There are a myriad of different ways, different intentions you can focus to clear your crystals. And the next one, which is gratitude, that's one of my favorites too. When you acknowledge the crystals, they don't hold, they don't keep the energy that they acquire because they don't need it. So just by saying thank you, you essentially snap them back into their natural vibration, because you're saying it's okay. You don't have to carry that anymore for me. It's gone. So saying thank you clears your crystals. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for infusing me with your energy, with your love. That clears them. A simple thank you. And that's probably the easiest way to do it. Or you can use sage or Palo Santo too. Sage is sage is a dried herb, and the Palo Santo is part of the holy tree. Sage clears out any negative energy. The nice part about the sage with the crystals is you don't have to worry about like infusing them back with anything, because they already are that. So you can just use a sage stick. I don't have any right here. And just hold your intention of clearing any energy that was acquired. You can use a Palo Santo sticks. Palo Santo, to me, brings in that higher vibrational energy. So sage clears out, and Palo Santo reinfuses that that source energy. Okay, so I'm going to read from this one, because I found some really interesting stuff about. And with gridding, I might have said earlier, I don't normally grid, and I was laughing to myself because I said that I was going to do this in the class, and I'm like, I never even grid. But I think it's such a great idea, and it's so powerful and empowering to combine sacred geometry and the energy of crystals and intention. So it's really like this earth ritual, kind of, which is really cool. I'm going to read this because I like okay. Crystal gridding combines sacred geometry and crystal energy to help focus and empower our intentions. With crystal gridding, there are so many different ways, different grids you can use for different intentions. So I have one on here too. And that's why I sent, and if anybody is just jumping in here, or if they didn't see what I said earlier, if you send me your email address in this chat, I will send you the PowerPoint, because on our next slide is the grid that I'm going to be talking about. And you guys can draw it at home. It's really simple, which is my favorite part about it. So I got this quote from a website I was looking up about sacred geometry, and I thought it was just so cool. Hold on one second, I'm going to read it. I just need to move my screen. The synchronicity of the universe is determined by certain mathematical constants which express themselves in the form of patterns and cycles in nature. So that's what sacred geometry is. Sacred geometry we find in pretty much everything. It's mathematical expression that forms a pattern. Sacred geometry, I'll show you. Let me find just some. Actually, I can just show you this. This is sacred geometry. I don't know if you could see that. This shapes with intention. Here's one. This is kind of cool too. See how it aligns like that? And this book I have for the grading. I really like it. They have a lot of great information. They break it down in a way you can understand it. It's called Crystal Grids, How to Combine and Focus Crystal Energies to Enhance Your Life. And it's by Henry Mason and Brittany Petrovsky. And I'll show you guys that. You can probably find it online anywhere. And I can even link it if you guys want. It's a really great book though. And if you really are thinking about getting into gridding, I definitely recommend it. Sacred geometry can be found in nature in the form of flowers, galaxies, seashells. The Fibonacci sequence is something really cool for you guys to look up. I won't even get into it. That's a whole topic in and of itself. But it's basically the shapes that we find in nature, and we're using these shapes with crystal energy to combine forces to help us with a focused intention. And even the shapes have different meanings and symbolism. Combining these shapes with the power of crystal energy enhances the properties and intentions of each shape and crystal. So the shape has meaning, the crystals have meaning, the intention has meaning. Everything in gridding is this intention. So if your intention is for abundance, find a shape that works with that, and then work with crystals that work with abundance. This is a green aventurine. Sorry. That's a green aventurine. Green aventurine is a luck stone. It's good for abundance. It brings in abundance. It works within the heart chakra, opens our heart to receive abundance. With any of this, I think, and I was just thinking about this yesterday too, which is so funny, even before I put this class together. Angelica, I was talking to you about actually receiving. Receiving is so big with manifestation and intention. If we can come from an open heart, we'll find that we receive a whole lot easier too. Oftentimes our limitations, our perceived limitations, they hinder us from accepting the full potential of what we're asking for. So all of this, you know, the gridding, the crystals, they're helping us to break down all of these limiting thought patterns, all these limiting beliefs, to get us back to our core of who we are, which is, in all of us, we are all a part of the universal all. And you can call that whatever you want to, but essentially it's the part of us that is pure, and it's bringing us back there. So the more that we work with crystals and grids and herbs and oils and supplements and foods, if we expand it to, sorry, it's getting big in there. If we can pull back these layers, we'll find that the more we accept ourselves, the more we can receive from ourselves, from the universe. So that's kind of what all of this is showing us how to do. It's just showing us where we limit ourselves, where we stop ourselves from receiving what we want, what we desire. And then from there, creating new patterns to new patterns, new belief systems that say, I am open to receiving. Okay, so this one, I love this. I think it's so cool in this book. They put quotes for each grid, and I love that. You can say the quote, you know. This one is Conquering Fear, the Conquering Fear Crystal Grid. The quote is by, and forgive me if I butcher this name, Lao Tzu, I'm gonna say. There is no illusion greater than fear. So this crystal grid is going to help us clear out, you know, just what I was saying. It's going to help us clear out any fear, any limiting beliefs, so that we can attain what it is we are searching for, we are looking for, we are desiring. Okay, and then this one, So I'll run through the shapes here. In the center, I'm going to talk about they have like the F, the W, the D. Those are the focus crystal, the way crystal, and the desire crystal. So the focus crystal is one singular crystal, and then the way crystals are the same crystal, and then the desire crystals are another crystal, all of the same. So say we have clear quartz in the center, the way crystals are all aventurine, and the desire crystals are all kyanite or something. Those are just examples. That's not for this one. You can use it if you want. That sounds like an interesting grid. So you can use it if you want. But I'm going to go through what each of them mean. I'm going to go to the next slide. If you guys have the grid in your emails, you can go ahead and follow along on the grid if you want, or you can just follow along with me. Okay, so the grid is a hexagon which symbolizes the elemental design of the universal life force. So that is the grid itself. The focus stone for this grid will be crystals that aid in acceptance for self. So I'm going to read you. I love what they said in this. I have the book open. This is the part that I got this from, and I really like it. So before you can conquer your fear, you must accept it. By owning your thoughts and feelings, you have taken the first step in gaining control. Your focus stone, and here they have the focus stone as a blue chalcedony, because its soothing light blue rays will surround you with the energies of acceptance, faith, and belief. Okay, so the waystones are the ones around the focus stone. The focus stone is that middle part in the grid. It's that middle crystal. It's just one. That's where you put the focus stone, and that's where you put your intention to. The waystones are crystals that aid in strength, confidence, and motivation. So and this is all for this particular grid, you'll find that each focus, way, and desire stone will change depending on your intention in the grid. So for this grid, it's conquering fear. So everything that we're going to be talking about in that is in line with this grid. So the waystone, you must take action to defeat your fear, but also have confidence and strength in doing so. And they recommend the ruby crystal, the crystal ruby for this one. Its deep red color will motivate you to take action and keep yourself dedicated. So you'll want crystals that help there. And it doesn't have to be ruby or crystal ruby. It can be whatever you want. Strength, confidence, motivation. I'd probably pick like a garnet or a citrine even. You could even do like a green one, an aventurine. That might be really pretty. Oh, well, in the next one, the desire stones will be crystals that aid in growth and healing. So in here it says the desire stones will be aventurine. Its dark green rays will aid you in conquering your fear and will bring the energies of healing and growth. So those are the different crystals you can use for the grids. The assembly of the grid, so I'm just going to read this next part. Assemble the crystals from the middle of the grid outward and keep your intention of conquering the fears in the forefront of your mind and in your heart. So when you're creating this grid, as with everything in life, focus your intention. And for this one, I'm just using, again, this is just an example. So my intention is to conquer my fear. So I'm going to set this grid. I'm going to create the grid. I'm going to put the crystals in, my focus stone in the middle, my waystones outside that, and my desire stones outside that. And I'm going to leave it out. You can do it for however long you need it. But I'm going to leave it out somewhere that I see it every day. And every time I walk past it or I see it or I think about it, I'm going to hold that intention. I'm going to bring it back into the forefront of my mind. I'm going to take a couple breaths on it. And I'm just going to capture that feeling, what it feels like to have conquered my fear. I'm going to trust that. So that's my take on all of my on the crystals here. Hold on, I want to stop sharing the screen. Okay, so that's what I got here. That was just an introduction into the crystals and how I use them, the gridding. I'm gonna download this video and put it on our YouTube, probably on our Facebook too, I'm sure. And I can also, you guys can email me on the side. You can email us on the Natural Healing Centers page if you want to get the PDF version of this. I'm gonna do my best. I don't know if I can, but I'm gonna link, hopefully link that the shareable Google document. I'm gonna link that so that you guys can get that too, so that you have the grid in front of you. But you can also Google it. Any of this stuff you can Google and just listen to yourself. With everything in crystal healing, as always, it's open to interpretation. So this is my take on it. This is my interpretation. This is how I use them. I would love to hear how you guys use them, how you feel with them, different stories you have with crystals. Everyone's got some really fun stories. So that's my take on it. And right now I am offering individual phone sessions. We can do them on Zoom. We can do them FaceTime or just a call. I'm doing 40 minutes for $50, and we can include the crystal recommendations. We can talk more in depth about the crystals, or if you wanted one-on-one, we're doing that too. So that's fun. So I just want to say thank you everyone for signing on and for participating. And if you guys have any questions, just let me know. You'll actually all have my email if you got the PDF too. So if you have questions, you can email me on the side too on anything that I talked about. And that's it. So thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. You guys enjoy your Saturday.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you. Bye. Just kidding, I don't know how to get out of here.